Hello, Aquarians, and welcome back to another Undecided Tarot Name video. We are looking at the new moon in Virgo, and the interesting with this one is that there's also going to be a new moon in Virgo in September. I don't plan at this time to make a second video for the new moon in September, so you're more than welcome to come back and reflect on this one. Possibly, actually, what's going to be really important is actually reflecting on the pile you already read or listened to and seeing what has happened within the Virgo season. Virgo season starts like the day before and then ends the day after, I believe, on the two new moons. So it'll be very interesting to see how this energy collides together. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see because the September one is a total lunar eclipse. So being aware that a lot of strong Virgo energy is happening is going to be important. Now, before you, I have all the Hermit cards. I am doing something a little different today. The Hermit is the card that ties to Virgo. I was reading the Tarot and Astrology by Corinne Kenner, I believe, and it was refreshing on kind of like the astrology part of this because that's not as I'm not as deep into that, and so I know more of the Hermit than I do about Virgo. And it was very interesting because it was this talk of how the Hermit is reclusive but not exclusive, and I think that's something that we need to be very, very careful of going into this strong Virgo energy and also exiting, is that we are not excluding others. A little bit of a spoiler, I don't usually do this. Along with showing card art, I don't always do. I usually show the card backs. I've also already filmed the piles. And there is a lot of themes today of while you are trying to be kind of in your isolated space, you can't just exclusively do that. You can't do that for a full month a lot of the time. You need to be able to allow others to help you and connect with you. And so I think there is this balance that's going to be pretty prevalent for a lot of you, that you might need to take some time and figure out what that means for you. How do you become reclusive but not exclusive and not excluded from your daily things? And that might be something to be, if you journal when you do these things, this is probably a good journal prompt to be looking at. So on top of that, I have art out, which is not usually the case. So if you know what deck you like to use, usually you are more than welcome to go ahead and jump ahead to the deck. But I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the name of each deck. Because I filmed the piles first, I didn't know what order they were going in, so you're just going to get welcomed by the deck name, basically. So the first one here on the left is the New Moon Tarot. Moving on to the Owl's Tarot. We then have the Neopets Tarot and the Guardian of the Night Tarot. You are more than welcome to use your intuition here. That's what I highly recommend, is the one that calls you is the one you should go to. I usually don't do art on these because I think it's a little too influential, and sometimes you're just like, but I want the fun owl, but really you need that new moon energy. So I really want you to take a moment, pause, listen into yourself, and have a time to sit and hear what needs to be said and take that time to actually listen to what messages need to be brought up to you. I'm very excited to dive into these with you. I did the readings just before filming this intro, and I'm going to be honest, I think there's a lot of really good stuff. The readings are a bit shorter than I have been doing lately, and I'm not mad at that. There's some really strong, powerful messages, and some of y'all might want to grab a journal. I usually recommend a journal. I highly recommend a journal. If you're curious about me before you hop in, because you've never done one of these and you're curious about me, the reader, I have been doing tarot for a few years now, and I have found very deep connections and have had so many people be like, this is working, you do good readings, this connected amazingly with me. And I'm very happy to just continue doing that here on YouTube, because everybody in my life pretty much got sick of me reading for them. So here I am on YouTube doing it to read for random people. And I'm very excited that you're willing to come and join me and let me read for you. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am going to get started with a New Moon Tarot here, and that's going to be the next clip playing. Otherwise, everybody else, go ahead and jump to wherever you need to go. Hello, New Moon Tarot. Welcome. We are going to be doing the New Moon in Virgo. I feel like the New Moon deck is kind of fitting for that. So with this one, we're going to be looking at what our first card at least should be. What needs my focus and attention right now? That's the first card we're going to be looking for. And it feels like it is this one on top here. So our first card is the Knight of Cups. Oh, a lovely card. What needs your focus and attention is... I always think of the Knight of Cups kind of as this Prince Charming character. And so there's something in you that may feel like a little... There's two things coming into mind. So, and with general readings, often there is more than one interpretation because not everybody needs the same message. So, first and foremost, with this Prince Charming, there's probably some level of a fake aspect to it. That is, there's something fake happening, or that you feel like you're kind of trying to keep this illusion up of this like perfect person, this really nice, like, yeah, like the perfect person that keeping up and like, yes, you're so lovely and amazing and everybody wants you. And that's not what you are, or not what you stand by necessarily, or is not really authentically you. And that's something that we need to let go of and let it move on. I think that's important with this. The other thing here is that you need to allow the wonderful energy of the cups in. So some of you are probably like kind of pushing people away, especially with the Knight of Cups. The Knight of Cups can be like, people love you and care about you, but you kind of keep saying, no, I'm fine. I don't need help. Or no, I don't need this. But really inside, being able to sit and gossip with somebody, or being able to just sit and play video games with someone, or whatever it might be, is actually going to be very, very helpful. And you keep pushing it away is not helpful as you think it is. So those are the two things that I'm getting, is that there's some sort of fakery for some of you that you need to like dispel and be done with. And for others of you, this is a call out of like, hey, allowing others in for your, I guess, emotional benefit, to allow yourself to not have to have this emotional burden by yourself is really important. And there are people who are happy to like come in and sweep through and be like, I got you. Let's go do things. Let's take care of you. And they want to hang out with you. And you don't have to like go play mini golf or anything. You can just go sit in a park. You can sit in, your room together or whatever. And like, this is just a card that's telling you that it's time to bond with other people, especially the people you already have bonds with. We're trying to strengthen them. And often the Knight, I think, is he's often in motion. And so I feel like this is a good time to like go do something. And so, well, I said like you could be in your house or whatever, but you should still be doing something. Like you should be playing video games, or you guys should be hanging out and crafting together or whatever. There's so many things that you can physically do. And that's kind of this thing of being in the motion and taking that motion part of the Knights and applying it to this. So we have our Knight of Cups. We are then going to look at how to improve your career and your health. So those are going to be two separate cards. One for career, which is the Hierophant. And then we're going to look at, which is the next one, is your health. We have the Nine of Wands. So the Hierophant actually is a really good card for your career. This is often a card that I read as like finding your mentor. This is your time to like find that person who knows probably a little more than you do. And listen to them. This is the time to figure out, what are your bosses telling you as feedback? What are the people in your field saying as feedback? What's the things that you're saying? This is the time to actually listen. If you've been saying, no, I don't want to, I don't care, I don't want to, or maybe it's the time to seek out a better mentor or find somebody who understands the style you're trying to get into or go into that field. Like, this is your time to like seek out new connections and be like, yep, this is what I have to do. The Hierophant is also somewhat of a warning in the sense that you have to still function in the system that's set up. It's, while the Hierophant is often it's like based off the Pope, so it's somewhat of a religious structure in a sense. I often see that people have to you have to listen to whatever rules there are already. You have to kind of be part of the society that is in, you have to follow the rules within it, and the structures of whatever is in your career base is probably something that you have to sit and pay attention to in this, and that can be really, really frustrating. I do like that we have the full moon cycle in here, as with Virgo going through the Virgo season, we will have from new moon to new moon this beautiful thing. And so I think if you are watching this in August, for that new Virgo moon of 2025, you are going to have to like really pay attention here, I think, to what's coming up. And this next month can be very, very important for you. Now, with the 9 of Wands, I think this is, for health-wise, I don't usually like to comment on the health, but I think there is some good things that we can take a look at. And always, with any of this, make sure that you are consulting a licensed doctor, medical professional, because I'm not any of those. And so this is not like in that way of type of advice. This is more of just like a general health things. Like, let's see what we need to take a look at. And the wands specifically deal with spirituality, creativity, sometimes sex. So the idea here is that we are looking at some persistence and some resilience, and what are we being able to kind of continue doing. So if you have a creative, spiritual, sexual practice of some sort, I guess, that you're doing it, keep going. I'm not going to say a ton about the sexual side, just going to be very clear, just because I'm on YouTube and YouTube has reasons. So I'm going to leave it there. You may interpret as you need to or whatever. It would be a different conversation if it's a private video, or if I was like sitting across from you at a table, we could have a different conversation, but this is a public YouTube video, so that's a different thing. But creatively and spiritually, if you've started a spiritual practice or something that you are like, you're starting to lean into, maybe you've decided to start working with a new deity, or maybe you are just starting meditation or chakra work or whatever, the 9 of Wands is telling you you need to keep going, because we're almost at the 10 of Wands, which is this card of, the 10 of Wands can be like the responsibility card, I guess. But like, I think of it as more of like this completion. You're going to have this moment of like, aha. And like this 9 is showing that we are like kind of at that fruition point of the cycle where we're seeing the work starting to pay off. And then with the 10, we're going to be seeing this cycle come to a completion. And you're probably going to kind of end up in this phase of, I know so much right now, and then you're going to end up going back into the phase of like, I don't know as much as I thought I did. And sometimes it can be a little frustrating, and it's just making sure you can keep growing and gaining more knowledge as you go. So keep sticking with your practice though, because it's working out really well. If it's a creative thing, creativity wise, I highly recommend that you persist with it, because this is given, how do I say this? Like, it's given like that you are you're in the right lane. If you're knitting or yarning or whatever, I just keep thinking of like how this is the thing. You need to keep doing it. So the making that you are doing and the creating that you are doing is good. Keep doing it. You're doing well. That's the important part out of that I am seeing. We are gonna then pull for how can I best serve at this time. So how can you best serve at this time? Ooh, we have the Lovers. Or nope, that's the Tower. I can't read. I thought it said the Lovers and I was very confused. The Tower. Okay. How can you best serve at this time? And we have a rebuilding card. We have a card of potentially destruction, and sometimes the Tower is often about having the tower fall down and rebuild. I think it's very interesting that this deck uses a lighthouse, because if the lighthouse isn't working, other ships and lives are like in the balance of this lighthouse. And you are standing tall and trying to give light, but you also have to remember to take care of yourself, because if this lighthouse fails to an unrepairable place, then a lot of things go wrong. So you need to make sure that you are checking the light bulb. You're cleaning up stuff. You've checked the wiring. You've made sure everything's going okay. Like all of that stuff. This is your kind of sign to just be like, you are helping, you're doing the right things, but you also need to make sure that you are taking care of yourself so that you can continue to do this. If you've never heard the saying, if you do not listen to your body will make sure that you rest. I don't think that's the right saying, but this concept of If you don't listen to your body when it starts to give the warning signals, it will decide that you need to rest, and it will not be on your terms. It will be on its own terms. And this is kind of the Tower, hey, saying, hello, we need rest time. We need to like not be doing this anymore. And this could be something that you've taken on too much. You've taken on too much of workload. You could be looking at having something where it's too much mental, because I haven't seen any, and granted we've only pulled 4 cards, so we haven't seen any swords or pentacles at this time. And I'm curious to see if this ends up being either of those are completely out of here, because this is somewhat seeming like you're pushing those things aside at this point. And it could be that you are like, hey, I'm really focused on work. I'm locked in, or I'm not going to listen to the fact that my brain is not having a good time. I'm just going to keep chugging along and keep doing the thing. And I think that can kind of tie back to that Knight of Cups for some of you, where you're not listening to the relationship part of like, oh, I should socially hang out with people, because you're just like, no, it's fine. I'm fine. But really what needs to happen is that you do need to go hang out with people and talk to people and see what's going on. Hopefully that makes sense. We are now going to go shift into how can I bring a greater sense of order to my life. And that card, how can I bring a greater sense of order to my life? And we have the Page of Pentacles. Okay, so we have our Pentacle cards that I was interested in. And interesting that it's the Page. The Page is like a new adventure. It's this lovely art in this, because it's this cute little baby deer, little Bambi, and it's somebody who's about to go and be able to, with new life, be able to go out into the world and start this new thing. And with this Pentacles energy, this very grounded energy, it's kind of like building off that tower of like setting yourself down and making sure you have the bricks down. So this is probably your sign if you do not have some sort of organization planner or something. And it doesn't mean you have to go like full type A. There's tons of planner systems out there. I hesitantly say look at bullet journals, but what I'm specifically recommending is find out who the guy is that made the bullet journal and find out his system, because it's so much simpler than what the Instagram girlies make it look like. All of those people are insane, and that's not even close to what he intended for my camera was leaning. That's not at all what he intended for the bullet journal to be. So if that's something that you are interested in, I highly recommend taking a look at what his original thought process is, because I think it's actually super friendly to far more people as a planner than what Instagram has turned the bullet journal into. I think Instagram has really ruined what originally was a really good system as a planner. So I say that very, very hesitantly. No shade to the Instagram girlies who love doing that. I am one of them. If you've seen my Instagram, who I put like my little bullet journal spread one month, because I was just like, I did all the washi tape and stuff, and it was great, and I'm really happy I did it. And yeah, it's something that I like to do, and it's a creative outlet for me, but it's not something that I think is sustainable for everybody. It's definitely not sustainable for me. It's not something I can do all the time. But that's something that I do highly recommend and think that you should look into and be aware of. And mainly, and also within this, because it's Pentacles, also check out your finances. Look at everything. You know, get your money in a row. Get all those financial, all those physical things, all of those earthly goods, I guess, in a sense. Make sure this is your time to like double check and look at everything with new eyes. Really, just like go in fresh and don't like just routinely do it. Like sit down, give yourself the refresh that you need to look at everything and figure out what's going on. I think that's going to be really, really important for you right now. We are going to move on to what is the highest intention for your self-mastery. And I think that's going to be an interesting card. I'm just interested to see what this card is. This deck is very decisive. And we have the Four of Swords. Okay, so we've had every single card show up, or suit to show up at this point, which is great. So we have the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords is this card of rest, which honestly makes a ton of sense with our like kind of restarting, rebuilding energy that we are having, is that you will eventually need rest. And I think for you, having a point for mental rest where you just get to be kind of calm in your head sounds so nice and sounds like your intention. And it's a combo of so many things here to get to that point that we have to like really fully dive into ourselves and like really allow ourselves to rebuild and rethink. So I think it's important to be aware that you need that rest and recuperation because you are about to break things down, and that maintenance on yourself has to be done calmly and carefully and potentially professionally, whatever that might look like for you. Yeah, there's a lot of wonderful energy here. And you have such wonderful growth happening. But this is going to be... I think the one thing with this is that this is not going to be easy growth. That's probably the biggest thing here, is that it's not easy growth, which can be a bit frustrating. Sometimes this can be a little like, oh, I would have liked that to be a little easier. And it's a little difficult sometimes, I think. We have a very nice balance, though, going on suit-wise and everything, though. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this for you. And I would be paying, if you are watching this in August, pay attention to your next month, till the next new moon, see how much growth and stuff. This is a good one to like kind of come back, re-listen, see how it went, see what's already happened, maybe see what's you can see the stepping stones of what's coming. And I don't believe that the future is set in stone, and you have the power to change a lot of things in your life. So this is your time to take that opportunity. But yeah, there's a lot of things here that like very inward work, but like do not forget your friends. That's a big thing here, is like, don't want you to forget your friends. For some of you, the fakery needs to drop, and you need to allow yourself to authentically be faced with people and allow them to see the real you, because I think you're going to have so much more growth that way, especially career-wise. That placement there is so strong. And I think that self-actualization, your self-mastery, you're gonna really want that. Absolutely wonderful, though. I'm very excited for you, to be perfectly honest, new moon pile. So I wish you the best. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. And I hope this Virgo season is good for you. Hello, Owls Tarot. I'm really excited to be joining you for this new moon in Virgo reading. So we're going to start off with what you need focus and attention on right now. So what needs your focus and attention? That's the first question. That is the first question we are going to answer here. What needs your focus and attention right now? Yeah, all right. It's this card. We have the Page of Pentacles, a lovely card. So you have some new grounding energy that needs to happen for you. So going into everything that you're about to jump into, or if you have some new plans that you're thinking about, or you're about to have some. So nurturing those plans financially or logistically, being grounded in the idea of them. So understanding what the financial needs are and understanding materially what you'll need to do this new adventure is important. And this could be various things, by the way. This could be a new job. This could be a new business you're trying to launch, but it also could be something as simple as just like, what are you creatively trying to endeavor or go into next? So there's a lot of things that could go into that. I'm curious about the rest of the cards because sometimes that'll help feed it. And we are going to look at how you can improve your career next, which is the Eight of Swords. And we have this card, which is often, it's an interesting card because this is, as we can see, we have an owl who is very sadly locked up in a sense. Interestingly enough, though, this owl can still escape if it can get out of its bandages, and it has sharp blades around it to be able to cut those open. So what can happen here is that it can escape. It has all the tools there. It just doesn't realize it. And I think this is your reminder to be like, hey, you have all the tools to do and get to where you need, but you just have to be aware of them. Sometimes that means listening to those around you who are telling you and helping you with what you're doing. And sometimes it's being aware that not the things that sometimes can hurt you can also help you. So just be aware of what's going on around you. It's also very possible, though, that you need to move out of whatever feels isolating, especially with this Page of Pentacles that we have here. I'm curious that the two cards are feeding off of each other in the sense of, like, in order to move yourself out of this, you need to start something new. So it might just be a full removal of yourself from the situation. It might be time to switch jobs. Yeah, for some of you, this is your sign to switch your job. We are moving into how you can improve your health. Interestingly, that's not... Oh, this is card number 4. I'm like, this has energy, but it doesn't have what I mean. And this one... Yeah, that one wants to be for health. Health-wise, we are looking at the Two of Pentacles. Lots of balancing. The dualities. So you're probably trying to find the balance between everything. Health is not just about physical, it's also about mental, spiritual, emotional, and mental. So making sure all of those things are in balance in the way you would like. It is a tricky balance, but also being aware that sometimes a professional needs to step in. Please remember that I am not a professional in any of those things, and there is no shame in asking for professional help. So that might be something to seek out or learn to figure out how to balance in your life. We are also, just because this card wanted to chat, I want to see what it has to say. How can you best serve at this time is the Three of Wands. Okay. So this is a card of, like, preparation and foresight. And this is, I think, very interestingly, because we do not have any of that in that Eight of Swords or anything. And I think to help you prepare that Two of Pentacles in your health journey, we need to, like, be aware of the long term. And also what is coming up. So being aware of where are you at this point in time. The holidays are coming. Are you prepared to be handling all of the emotional and relationships stuff that comes with the holidays? Are you willing to, go see family in your current state? What does that necessarily mean? Maybe now is the time to look for a therapist, because that's going to be really helpful once Christmas comes around. Various things like that could be potentially helpful in this, but being aware of what is coming on the horizon, it's going to be very helpful to be able to then look at these other aspects and be able to take them in. I do want to kind of focus back in on yourself for a hot second here with the next card of how can I bring a greater sense of order to my how can I bring a greater sense of order to my life? So how can you bring a greater sense of order to your life? And this card is talking to us, and it's the Sun. Ooh, lovely, happy card. Good things overall. This is your sign. It's going to be okay. This is your sign that this too shall end. That the bad times are only times that are bad. That, all of those little things. It doesn't always feel like that. And sometimes those sayings can feel very, very empty. And I'm not shaming you for that, because they do. They sometimes just feel like things that people just say to you and they don't mean it. I love that the Sun is right below the Eight of Swords, though, because that energy has just so lifted that this place of isolation is going to get better, and you are going to be so much more connected if you're willing to put in the work, and if you're willing to take the time and put the work in and be willing to do that. I am curious if we're going to get a Cup cards here, because there's a lot of relationship stuff that I think you are specifically pushing away. And you need to stop. And emotionally, probably too, that Eight of Swords is very concerning for me, because it's such an moment of isolation that sometimes we end up in our own heads, that we end up trapping ourselves in our own head and being like, this is the thing. And it's not something that often we can get out of by ourselves. This is you don't know what's around you for tools. And sometimes that's enough of a hindrance that you can't escape. And this, is a good time to like reach out to others and be like, I need help. And help is hard. If you can, think of if somebody else was in your situation and would you be willing to help them, and realize there's no difference for you. People are willing to help you. And I don't know if that fully made sense, but I'm hoping it did. Our last card, before I think there's going to be a whole bunch of stuff once the last card's revealed that I can really dive into here, but I just want to go into this quick. Your highest intention for self-mastery is the King of Cups. Ooh, okay, here we go. Yep, so our Cups card finally showed up, but I think this is a card that is not the best Cup card to get. I don't think the Kings always are the masters of their suits. I definitely don't think the King of the Cups is the master of the Cups. The King of Cups to me is somebody who is over-emotional, and I think you somewhat fear that over-emotional aspect. Your highest intention for self-mastery is this emotionally balanced person, but you are so emotionally imbalanced right now that you can't understand it. And I think it's an emotional like isolation that you're like, I'm so logical, I know what's going on, and look at me go. And you need to add some heart into it, man. Like, give it some heart. Allow yourself to have a moment of having a tear in your eye, or being happy that you sing. And like, having those emotions is good. You can be upset and angry and scream into a pillow and be upset about things, or angrily draw and scribble on paper and just have your fury. But like, remember that there are healthy outlets, and that bottling it up is not a healthy outlet. That's the really big thing here, is that I don't need you to bottle this all up and make it all pretty. No. We all together here have just realized you need to realize what else is out there, and that you need to also connect with other people. We have a lot of isolated owls. This deck has a lot of isolated owls in general, but like, the continuous message that we are getting here is that you stand alone. And you want to stand alone so proudly and so high and mighty. And like, that's fine. You can be the leader you want to be. And honestly, I think the sun's saying you can. You have the ability to do so. But the problem is that you don't get to stand alone. If being a leader of one for yourself is not as exciting or not even as fulfilling as having a team that likes, respects, and actually wants to hear what you have to say, that's important. That's really important to realize. We have a lot of things going on. I think financially you're doing actually okay, besides the fact that you might need to change careers. This is a good time to make sure all of your accounts are in order. And if you have not been saving up or prepping to switch jobs and potentially being unemployed for a little bit, you need to start preparing. And there are other people with far smarter money knowledge than I do out there that can help. Again, there are tools for you. There are things that can help you move, switch, do whatever, or report problems in your workplace. There are tools and things that can help. But you have to also put in some work as well. The balance of all of it is hard. I totally agree. This is not an easy step for you by any means. This is something that's going to be very difficult, but we need to also think through it. This does not feel like it's in the short term, like the next 2 weeks. So for some of you, that might be the case. This feels like it's more of a long term, at least 5 to 6 months, if not a year or two. That's going to be like, I know that's a very broad range. General readings are not particularly specific. There's a whole The messaging I'm hearing is a lot stronger for 5 to 6 months, but I do think there are some of you who need that 1 to 2 years and need to be aware that like some of you are going to fall into that longer range, whereas a lot of you are going to, the majority is more likely to be in that 5 to 6 month range. And the nice thing is that if you're willing to do all this change, you have a really bright, wonderful future of having an emotional understanding and an emotional power that you can actually utilize, and relationships and connections that will help you be able to grow and shine brighter over time, which is awesome. I think that's really important and good to be aware of. Interesting. Everything just silenced. Like, that's all they wanted to say. Yeah. I felt very short, but I think that was the core of what they needed to say to you. And sometimes that's just how it is with some of these. So thank you so much for letting me read for you, Owls Tarot. I appreciate the chance and strong energy from this. You guys have some strong energy. So y'all, I hope you are utilizing it in good ways and like moving forward in really strong, powerful ways, and allowing that, like, I believe Virgo is an earth sign, if I'm remembering correctly. And like, there's some good like anchor spots for you that you're allowing in. Like, if you're hearing this in August, keep that balance and try to use Virgo season for you to really keep that groundedness and to really set the foundation for good work. If this is in September, I highly recommend that you revisit and pay attention to what have you built over the last month, or what can you keep building and going into the future off of what you have just started building. So yeah, thank you so much again, the Owls Tarot pile. I wish you the best. Good luck with Virgo season, if this is in August. Hello, the Neopets Tarot pile. I'm really excited to be reading with you today in this new moon of Virgo. We are going to get started, and we're going to just dive right in with the first question of what needs your focus and attention right now. And honestly, it's this top card, which is the Empress. Ooh, gather your resources. Yeah. Okay. Now is the time to take in everything and be aware of what sources you have near you. This is coming off of the Priestess card, and which before though is the Magician. And I think the Magician is a really good reminder of, you know, what you possess within yourself. Like, your if you are able-bodied, your knowledge, things that you already know and have and possibly near you. This is a little bit more outward. So we are going to take the tools that we are aware of from the Magician and like how we know our knowledge and everything. The Priestess showed us how to use them, and now we are going to actually go and dig deeper and look more outward into how other people can help us, or other sources can help us. So this is your time to, do your research, reach out to other people, take in the time to, ask for help potentially on your big task here. Whatever that means to you, that's what's to do right now. Yeah, we're going to look into how you can improve your career and health. We're going to take two separate cards, one for career and one for health, but we're going to look at how you can improve each. Health can be beyond physical. It can be mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I am not a master of any of those things. I am not a professional in any of those things. So please seek out professional help if you need it. I am just a silly little tarot reader who reads cardstock. Feel free, if it's something needs to be deeper looked into, to reach out to somebody who is professionally able to help you do so. So we're going to start with the career card. And then I feel like this is also calling us for... Ooh, 2 4s for our health card. And the 4s in general are pretty stable cards. They're pretty solid cards of the 4s are just like kind of a nice moment of rest and moment of taking the time to pause with their stability, which is really, really nice in my opinion. So what we're looking at with the 4 of Swords in your career is that you're probably kind of at this point of recuperation. I don't remember any Neopets character names, even if I have read all of the lore and stuff, but I know some of their stories. We have him. This is him. This is his statue, but he's resting upon his statue and taking this moment of time and peace, because dressed in those clothes, nobody knows him. Nobody knows him as that thief. Nobody's aware of who he is and why he's one of the heroes of Altador. And it's a very important thing to just be like able to blend in and have that moment of rest and not have anybody bother you. Meanwhile, in your health-wise, we are having kind of a moment of like, it's an interesting thing with this one, because the Four of Pentacles often is usually like, oh, we feel really stable and set in our place. I need you to know the lore of this card, because this really feels like it's kind of setting you up for the Five of Pentacles. Like, we're really about to hit this cycle. You're kind of playing a little bit of gambling right now. The Neocola machine, if you are not aware, is a gamble. There is potentially really high prizes out of it, but there's also potentially not great prizes. We have a little Nurkmid. That's what this Aisha is holding in their hand, is a little Nurkmid. And their Nurkmid is pretty decently priced item on Neopets. It's a pretty safe bet. And a lot of the stuff you get out of the Neocola machine, or not the Neocola machine, the vending machine that's escaped, the Aisha, the alien. My brain hurts. This is a gamble, and sometimes it's safer to take and keep your thing than it is to take the gamble, is what I'm trying to get here. I think this is the Neocola machine. The Nurkmid is for a different machine. Potentially they are the same. But the Nurkmid machine is on the planet behind them. The Neocola machine is on this island, or the moon, on Creludor, I believe. It's the planet. Okay. I hope that makes sense. It's on the moon of their Earth, I guess. Basically, what we're setting up, though, for is this kind of gamble that can lead into the Five of Pentacles of insecurity and, like, worry. We are seeing the setup for it, basically. So I want you to take a moment of caution. Whatever you're kind of experimenting with or trying to figure out or ignoring, you need to go and actually take care of. That the cards are suggesting that you actually go take care of whatever situation you are not paying attention to. That's really important right now. I do think you can move on to how can you best serve at this time, and that can mean a lot of different things. But often this feels like a good, like, a community check-in, but we'll see what the card wants to say, and it's this card. Ooh, the Ten of Pentacles. Okay. The Ten of Pentacles is nice. It's usually like you have an abundance of something. It can be an abundance of money. It might be an abundance of time. It might be an abundance of wealth. It could be an abundance of something, like a physical item or something. And this is your sign to share that, to allow others in. We have the adoption agency. So we have our different people. So if you're not aware, you can adopt, you can transfer, or you can abandon your pet with these respective Neopets. Abandoned Neopets are not happy. They wish to be adopted. And it can be adopted pets are very happy, but like the unadopted ones are not. And for some of you, this might be a very literal go adopt a pet kind of a thing. And you can just best serve by going to an animal shelter and learning, all the practices to help volunteer. It could tie into your Empress really well here too, is that gathering resources is also finding out who you can share your resources with. That's important, the duality of that. So being aware of that is important. And yeah, knowing when you can share it it can be a big deal. Yeah. I'm curious about the next cards. These are going to be a little bit more focused on yourself again, but more instead of like this community way, but like the next question is, how can you bring a greater sense of order to your life? So we're going to kind of try and take all of this that feels a lot of actionable things, and then like, how do we just organize it more? Or how do we feel like we're in control again? I think is a better way, I guess, of saying it. And we have the Two of Pentacles. It's finding that balance. How do you adapt to this new situation? Interesting that we have all these pentacles, this earth cards, especially in this Virgo season. If you're watching this in August, you are having strong earth energy. We need to be kind of keeping an eye on that and making sure that we're not overbearing our earth energy, because we haven't had any Wands cards, and I'm curious now about the Wands. So we'll probably pull that last card soon here. But we have a lot of earth energy, so this Virgo season might feel very comfortable for you in that you feel like you're willing to take those risks. It's fine. I'm doing great. It's fine. But you need to actually stay grounded and remember that, oh, no. You still have to balance everything. You still need to know, hey, hanging out with people is good for me. Hey, I need to actually sit down and do my creative stuff, my spiritual practice, whatever it needs to be to keep yourself in a balance so that you're not burning out on this very more tangible endeavor that you are working on. I'm curious about the last card, so we're going to pull it. And what is your highest intention for this, your self-mastery? Yeah, this one. Ooh, the King of Pentacles. All right, we have our fourth Pentacles card, so I got lots to say once we get kind of past this little thing. The King of Pentacles is... Your intention is probably to have like a lot of stuff. Wealth is kind of the very classic answer here, is that you're really wanting the control, the power, and that comes with wealth, and that can come with having money. Is that, you know, you can say yes, no, change the answers of people. Money has a lot of sway. It really does. So there is something within that. And I think this can also be like a little bit of a warning that don't let greed blind you, because again, we have that Four of Pentacles that's there. That's kind of like giving us a little tease that the Five of Pentacles is coming, and that the insecurity and the poverty that can sometimes come with the Five of Pentacles is showing up, or has the temptation to show up. And we need to be very careful about this chasing of the wealth and the physical things. We had no swords or cups, or no wands or cups come up. And we had a singular sword, but 4 pentacles. So you're going to feel probably like, yes, Virgo season's doing me really good if you're seeing this in August. If you're seeing this in September, I think you're going to probably start to feel that crash out of like, oh no, things are feeling off balance. I thought I was so on top of it. Things are starting to fall apart. And if you're seeing in this August, I want you to really focus on that 2 of Pentacles energy. This is like balancing and keeping track of everything, including your relationships, emotional well-being, your spiritual practice, your creativity, all of these like more inner things, the things that take care of your intuition, your inner self, your self-reflection. All of that needs to have some time, and looking inward is going to be really important. Potentially incredibly scary though for you. You might have to have some self-actualizations that you won't like. We'll see how that goes, and we'll see what you think, but I'm a little concerned for you that it might not go well, or you might get very, how do I say, you might not end up liking who you are very much. And when you face yourself in the mirror, and that can be very, very hard. If you're uncomfortable with that, with the person you end up starting to find, which you need to just like very carefully and try to slowly peel back the layers, I think. If that's uncomfortable, I would recommend you take some time well, I don't know. Because I think this is something you need to kind of face. Looking inward is going to be a lot of the work here, though. You need to be willing to like really have some time and focus in and see what needs to be said. What has things inside you been trying to tell you that you will not listen to? And I think that's really important here. Knowing that, I think the Empress, again, we're coming back to that Empress card of like gathering your resources and getting those connections and stuff, and being willing to listen to people when they give you critiques is really important. And I'm interested to see, you're not sitting in front of me, which is somewhat disappointing, because I think for some of you, this is going to be a really cool journey, and I wish I could hear about it and see it and what happens next for you. Because if you're willing to put in the work, the cycle is going to move so nicely, and you're going to take on the challenges that come with it really well. And I think some of you are not going to handle it well. And you're going to fight it, and you're going to be like, I'm in my element. I have to take advantage of this as much as I can, and I can't hold back. When in reality, you need to take a small breather and allow yourself to think and feel a bit more. Thank you, Neopets Tarot Pile, for letting me read for you. There's so much here that, like, I'd be interested. Like, I want to ask you questions and see if any of this, like, resonates and, like, build off of it. Because there's so much stuff here that feels like we need to dive deeper, but it's so specific that I can't do it in a general reading, which sucks. Because it's so interesting. We're at the beginning of so many things. And yet, in some ways, you are so convinced you're done with working on things that you just think you've mastered the Pentacles kind of thing. And it's like, no, actually, we need to, like, go back to the 2 and the 4 and, like, kind of be at the beginning of the cycle again and not just think that we're at the end. So, I'm interested. I'm interested in what you're doing. But yeah, thank you so much for letting me read for you. If it's in August, I hope you have a good Virgo season that you are willing to sit and reflect upon. And if it's in September, I hope you are willing to face the facts. Best of luck. Hello, Guardian of the Night Tarot. I'm very excited to be reading for you. We are going to dive right in, and I did some shuffling off screen, and so hopefully you trust me on this, but like this top card wants to be the first one to talk. So typically I try to shuffle, but I hadn't used this deck in a while, and so I shuffled off screen, and then this card came up, and it was like, this is the one that wants to talk. So we're going to start with it. And we're going to start off with the question of what needs your focus and attention right now. And it's the 7 of Pentacles. Oh my goodness, this card is gorgeous. I love so many 7 of Pentacles, I think, actually do this spider spinning a web thing, because there's so much investment in time, and this is your time. This is your sign to be the spider and put the webs, make the webs, take the time. This is how you're going to catch your flies. You have to put in the work. You have to do all the intricate work. They have to be thin so they're not noticeable, and that you have to do all of this intricate work over large areas so that you have the largest net to catch your prey. So this is your casting your net in a sense, and taking that time to reach out to others. So the next card is actually going to be about your career. And so I'm curious to see how this may end up tying with your career card, because what needs your focus and attention right now might also be part of with the next one, the next question of how can you improve your career, and the following question is how you can improve your health. But I think, sorry, my camera is acting really funny. I have it on a very unstable thing right now. There we go. I think I got it. Okay. So I want to pull, and honestly, it just feels like it's the next card. So we're going to find out how to improve your career with the 10 of Wands. So persistence is, or not persistence, although persistence is definitely part of it. We're coming off of the 9 of Wands with this persistence, and we're watching these salmon kind of have to deal with the responsibility and burden of trying to get back to mate and to like lay their eggs and stuff. And so I think we're actually seeing this kind of consistent persistence throughout the 7 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands, this like devotion to your craft and making sure in order to do it, you have to fight and go into this knowing it's going to be a bit more of an uphill battle, that you're fighting the current. You're not going to be able to just like hop in and go. None of that. You have to be willing to put in the work and allow yourself to move stronger and forward, but it's not going to be easy. That's the big thing. I'm going to be honest. It just keeps it's the second to top. Okay, it's not the top card this time. So Two of Wands is our health card, and the Two-Os are often about some sort of duality, and in this one, it can be about staying still or moving on. We see the two lions here. One is laying down and staying in place, while the other one is ready to keep moving and continue hunting, or, checking out around them, whatever, seeing who's around, making sure all things are good, various stuff. And we are at a point of deciding, which one are you doing? One of the things, though, is that sometimes you need to remember the Three of Wands in this, because I do think it's a cycle. So going from the One of Wands, which is very much like this inspirational moment and like this, like, haha, I think of it very much like an aha moment of like, oh, I have this new idea, and you might be relating to that in some ways. And I want to be clear with the health thing, is that it's not necessarily your physical health. It could be your emotional, you could be your physical, or your spiritual, your emotional, your mental. There's a whole bunch of things that come with the word health. I am not a professional in any sense of any of those things, so please seek professional help in those fields if you feel like it is necessary. But big thing here for me that I notice is that you probably have an inkling of what's probably going on, and you need to choose to be the lioness in this and proceed and to make progress. This grayed out male lion here really seems like this isn't the choice you're supposed to make, but it's probably the choice that you want to make. But you need to resist and excuse me, and you need to move forward. You need to progress. You can't stay still forever. We're going to go into the next card of how do I best serve at this time. And it's feeling like it's this card right here, which we have the Emperor. And this is a card of protection and power. I usually don't mention this, but this is like the traditional dad card. So what I mean by that is, though, like the things that you typically think in a father figure, so that like protective, that soul, or the soul provider, that kind of vibe, the person who I don't know, in the stoic, non-emotional person in a sense, that's kind of like the energy of the Emperor. And it doesn't have to be gendered. Typically it's not. Really what we're looking at here, though, is that protective feeling that I think often comes with the father figure is the feeling that you need to be providing. And it can be a very welcome thing for a lot of people to finally have a moment where they can be like, oh, I can rest. And we have like a ram here, and it's an interesting thing to have an owl with a sword. I think that's so cool. But I think of like a shepherd watching his flock and protecting them, and that you need to protect that person. And it's not in a I'm so powerful way. It's like just knowing how to protect them. It doesn't necessarily have to be the strongest being. An owl, a lot of the times, is smaller than the ram. And it's not about the physical size or ability in that sense. It's the knowledge that can come with it. The wisdom of the owl in this image that is taught, that seems to be calling out for you guys, is that's where you need to be kind of utilizing the strengths that you have, is bringing out your protection of this Emperor out with your servitude needs to be within the wisdom and knowledge that you have to provide the best protection. Yeah. So, yeah. It's a really good card for looking outwards. I am going to shuffle a little bit before the next card here. We're going to kind of shift to looking inward again. And with that is, how can you bring a greater sense of order to your life? because what we have here is a lot of stuff going on. We have a lot of sowing the seeds, making things happen, and trying to take the time and dedication to allow things to happen, to grow and become better. And also, you have to make the decision to move and become better, along with understanding that that means some protective powers. So it seems like so far in this reading is that what we are really getting here is a movement and a working on connecting with others and connecting and working hard and correctly. It's interesting because like there's such this delicate web work that keeps happening. It almost seems like you have to delicately navigate some things and carefully navigate in order to get to this point of protection and this progressive protection, which is very interesting. Yeah. So like coming off of that, how do you kind of get that greater sense of order in your life? We're going to be looking at strength. Oh, a lovely card. I love this version of strength because we have a snake and a mouse, and it's just, strength is an interesting card. It's often very straightforward. It's having the strength to do the things. But this is like a compassionate strength. And I think that ties really well with everything else that we're seeing, is that you need to have a compassionate strength when you do all of this. Understanding that not everybody has the knowledge that you have. Understanding that patience and time with these people and the projects and everything you're working on is important here. And that don't just like gobble up the mouse immediately, because the mouse might be able to show you where other things are. It could provide more food sources in a sense, but it also could be like, hey, the mouse is going to show you what to dodge or what to stay away from, because it knows the land a bit better than you do because you've just entered it, or whatever it may be. Or vice versa, being cautious of the snake, but realizing that, hey, the snake will know where certain things are as well, where the water is or where this is. And that like, knowing that you are both very different and not necessarily going to be going at things the same way can be very important. And that compassionate strength to work with that other person is very important here. And so to bring order to your life might be working with other people and that you may not necessarily agree with, and that you might not necessarily wish to work with, but you should. And that it's okay to. That's going to be a big thing here. We are going to then look at your highest intention for your self-mastery. No. It's this one. And we have the Hanged Man. Ooh. Your highest intention of self-mastery. The Hanged Man is an interesting card. There is a couple different things we can look at with this. And the thing with the general reading is that often people get different things out of this. So some people get, the whole reading makes sense for them, and other ones it does not. It just depends. So the Hanged Man, I think for some of you, is going to be like, you just want moments to rest. You just want to pause. You just want to hang out. You just want to just be able to like chill. I just got a very wild, weird thing in my head. And it's, for some of you, this might actually click, because this is just how tarot works sometimes. If you've seen a Goofy movie, there is like a whole thing of them going to this like possum. I don't know what it is. If it's like a theme park or something, I can't remember. But like a possum themed sideshow of some sort, like a, little tourist trap kind of a thing. And interesting, what I'm thinking about is that your like highest intention for self-mastery here is your family, and that you want to be able to spend more time with your family doing silly little things like that and doing goofy little trips. That's so interesting. That's such a fun way of thinking about it, is that you just want to be able to not be tied up and hang out with people you love. That's wonderful. And I hope you are able to do that. And that's a wonderful thing. Yeah. And by setting up people for success through other things, you will be able to take off and go and do things with confidently. For others, the Hangman is kind of like, sometimes you need to stop without, you're stuck in a spot with no choice. And for some of you, I think you know what you should be doing, or the thing that's stopping you right now is actually like you need to be taking the moment. So you need to take this moment of feeling stuck and sit in it. And you need to actually be like taking advantage of it and just be like, this is where I'm at right now. It's frustrating, sure, but this is where I am at. And eventually I will be able to get down and move along, or somebody will come and help me. But for now, this is where I'm at. And you might need to just look at the world a little bit different, a little weird right now, and be able to have that self-reflection and time and be like, yep, this is what I'm going to do. And the idea of having your world kind of turned upside down is probably going to be hit with some of you far more than others. You need to be aware that taking this time to feel the feels, especially because we have no wand or no cup cards, no water cards are here, and that emotional aspect that you push away needs to be allowed in, and you need to allow everything to not just bubble up and break, but you need to allow it to like slowly flow out. And this is your moment of pause to allow you to express whatever needs to be expressed in healthy ways. So allow yourself to have grief, allow yourself to have the sadness, the tears, watch the sad movie so you can bawl and cry. This is your time to do so, and take the moment for yourself. I do find it interesting that we have strength here. We have a very straight cycle. The Emperor, this strength to Hangman. And within this Virgo air, the Hermit actually follows after strength. So this time of like compassionate strength will be followed by like a reclusive but not exclusive energy. And you should be like kind of looking inward. And I think the Hangman's going to be like your really abrupt, hey, time to look within, whether you want to or not. It's time. So yeah, I think that's very important. Thank you so much for letting me read for you, Guardian of the Night Tarot. I appreciate all of you guys letting me read for you, and I hope some of this resonated for you. Enjoy Virgo season.